Booyah! Welcome to the channel. This video is going to be about the easiest ways to build business credit. My name is Ben Kofi, aka Credit Kofi. I'm a loan broker and I teach you guys in the United States of America how to gain access to the money, the moolah, the bling, and the ka-ching. I basically teach you guys how to gain access to funding so you can gain access to your freedom. Now, everybody and his dog on the internet, on TikTok, on Instagram, even on LinkedIn, in the credit space is basically talking about net 30 accounts. You need to buy a gazillion batteries and a billion pieces of toilet paper in order to build up business credit, okay? Well, if you've taken that advice and you found that that's not necessarily working because it's not reporting to the credit bureaus that you want it to report to, congratulations for coming to this video, because we're gonna set the record straight. How to build business credit fast and the right way. The thing about purchasing things from Uline, Quill, Gringer, etc., all of that's basically BS, because you want things to be reported back to the bank because you essentially need credit from a bank. So I used to be into selling products online, e-commerce. I basically had suppliers in China, I had suppliers in the United States of America. Now, they would give me things on consignment on credit. Now, before they did that, they would check my credit with other companies. So because the fact that I had net 30 accounts prior with other companies, my Paydex score was good. If you don't know what a Paydex score is, Paydex is basically measured from 0 to 100. It's a credit score metric, if you will, which is held by one of the biggest credit reference agencies in the world, which is called Dun & Bradstreet. So if you've got an 80 Paydex score, that's great. But this is great for when you're dealing with various different companies who are going to give you goods and services for a period of time without you paying for them. But the banks do not care about a Paydex score, okay? They care about what credit you hold with them or how good you are as far as paying back credit with them with revolving lines of credit like lines of credit or business credit cards. That is the differential, ladies and gentlemen. Now, this is why a whole load of entrepreneurs right across the internet have followed this BS information and they've gotten stuck with $5,000 worth of vendor credit. Okay, vendor credit is completely different. Whereas you want $50,000 or more, or $20,000 or $10,000 in credit with a bank. I'm going to show you how. Banks aren't looking for net 30s. They're looking for financial footprints. Okay. They're looking for financial footprints in a way of how much revenue do you actually have? How much debt have you actually managed? Okay. Do you look legitimate on paper or do you just look like a hustler? So here are the things that actually build business credit in the United States of America. So you need to separate yourself. If you're in the early stages of setting up your business, you need to separate yourself from your business, even if you're not in the early stages, because I realize that there are a lot of sole proprietors out there. Being a sole proprietor does not separate you from your business. You're still intertwined legally as being a business, whereas having an LLC or a C Corp or an S Corp, they are separate entities. You are the entity here, the LLC, and the person is on the other side. So if you have issues here with debt as far as your LLC is concerned, they cannot touch you legally as far as your personal side is concerned. However, if you are a sole proprietor, you are one in the same. So form an LLC, form a corporation, get your EIN number, open up your business bank account. That is separating yourself as an entity. So in essence, if you're still swiping your personal debit card for your business expenses, basically you're already losing. You need to get true business accounts. Now, what do I mean by that? You need to start with secured business credit cards, okay? Now, what do I mean by that? Secure business credit cards are basically exactly that. They are secured. So you basically buy items with them, whether it will pay for business expenses, and then you pay the money back. Basically, initially, let me start again. Let me reverse and rewind. So with a secured card, basically, let's say you've got a limit on it of $1,000. You put $1,000 of your own money on the card. You spend that money over the course of the month, and then before that month is over, you repay all the money that you have spent. So it's actually your money, whereas a normal credit card, it is the bank or the issuer's money, let's say Amex, etc. Now, what this does is it shows underwriters and the credit bureaus that you are liquid, and that sends a more powerful message to those entities, the credit bureaus, underwriters, etc., as opposed to you using credit builders like these. Also, another thing that you can do is you can take out lines of credit. Now, lines of credit are normally open to business owners. I know that the bar has been lowered now to if you have a business for 1 year, but normally it's 2 years. Personally guarantee those lines of credit first of all, okay? That way you're going to build up history and you're going to build up a foundation the bank respects. You want to run all of your revenue through your business account. Basically, you want to be consistent, putting in consistent deposits over time. That's basically king. Banks, in essence, they want to see consistency and they want to see activity. So don't cash out payments over, okay? Don't deposit everything into one of your, let's say, personal accounts. We don't want that. We want you funneling as much money into your business account, because this is going to increase your bank rating and it's going to increase your credibility with the bank, so you can get more money from the bank to make money with money. Use credit responsibly. So one of the things that you don't want to do is you don't want to let credit just sit there collecting dust, okay? Borrow, invest in things like marketing, inventory, growth, pay it back in time, okay? Because it looks great with the credit bureau. Most significant contributors to damaging your credit is late payments. Now, basically, all of this, what it does with the bank, it gives you credibility. And once you've got that credibility with the bank and that kind of relationship with the bank, obviously it speaks volumes to the credit bureaus in which they report back to, but then they become a real partner of yours to lend you money. You know, the funny thing to me is there are business owners out there who are totally against borrowing from banks, which I just don't understand, because your money and your resources they're finite. Whereas if you build good relationships with banks, the amount of money that you can get from them is infinite. And businesses, as you know, for those of you who are a bit more seasoned, you're always going to come into problems. There's going to be ebbs and flows. There's going to be seasonality. There's going to be trends. There's going to be time when there are no customers that want your service. And that's when you tap into the bank's money, not only for emergencies, but also for expansion and for growth. Building relationships. Now, one of the hidden keys, okay, that a lot of people don't talk about is credit it's not just numbers, it's relationships in essence. The banker who knows your name is more than likely to push your application through, okay, as opposed to you dealing with an algorithm. This is why relationships are key with banks. Now, understand, in this credit game, especially in this business credit game, your credit score versus your credit profile, let's put it like this. Which one do you believe is more important? Most people would say the credit score, but it's actually your credit profile. Your credit score is just full of vanity metrics. I'm not trying to say that it's not important, but building an overall profile is what the banks and the underwriters are really, really looking for. So let's say you have an 80 Paydex score. Banks don't give a F about a Paydex score. In some situations, you could have a 750 credit score, let's say on the personal side, even an 800, and still be denied for a loan in the United States of America because of the fact that you haven't constructed a beautiful piece of artistry, which is that being your credit profile. Let me put it to you like this. If the bank sees $50,000 US moving through an account each and every month, okay, without fail, let's say that person's credit score isn't perfect. Do you really think they're going to ignore that? They're not going to ignore that, because what's going to happen is their bank rating, which is the ebbs and flows of money that's moving in and out of the account, and the balances which are on the account at any given time, is going to be really, really high. So they're more than likely to extend money to them, as opposed to somebody who's got a very poor bank rating but a better credit score. So going back to the topic of net 30s. Net 30s are good, don't get me wrong, they have their place, okay? But the real goal, okay, in order to gain access to six figures in business credit, is not vendor accounts, okay, or having vendor credit with Uline, Gringer, and all these other net 30 accounts that you hear everybody and his dog on the internet talking about. So in essence, here are the things that you need to put in place, some of which I've already mentioned before, but I'm just basically giving you a summary in order for a bank to take you seriously. So you need to get incorporated first and foremost. You need to build true credit with the bank. Okay, so meaning having a business checking account in your business's name. So you need to build true credit accounts in your business name, okay, which in other words are called trade lines. So you need to be running all revenue, as mentioned before, through your business bank account, okay? You need to use also your credit responsibly, okay? We don't want any late payments because that's going to mess up everything. Now, if you can, I know this isn't possible for everybody, but you also want to build relationships with decision makers. That's basically how you're going to unlock anything from $50,000 US to $100,000, even going far and beyond that, $250,000 in funding. And you know what the funny thing is? I'm a funding specialist and I see entrepreneurs' applications all day, every day, okay? Now, the funny thing is a lot of entrepreneurs out there, and they don't even realize this, they're one or two small tweaks away from basically being bankable by these credit unions and by these banks. And when I say bankable, I mean bankable up to the tune of 6 figures. So if you found this information valuable, hit that subscribe button. I put all of this information out there and a ton more of information which is coming all for free, all off of my own back. So I would appreciate it if you could share this information with those people who are interested in this type of information, who need to gain access to the money, the moolah, the bling, and the ka-ching. Let's get it. Let's get it together. See ya.